Let's get started.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to this week's episode of Texas Narcos Podcast. Very excited to host Nic Bonney here with us on the podcast. Nic, how you doing today?
Doing great. How are you?
Good, man. I'm doing well. Again, we're coming to y'all from Nashville at the ACE Interdiction Conference. So how's the conference treating you?
Oh, it's really good. It's nice to see Bauer and Al up there talking, taking notes on how they're instructing, being a new instructor.
Yeah.
That's really something I wanted to take away is how they engage with the attendants or the students of the class, and walking around and seeing that relationship he builds throughout the day just makes you want to do better. So I'm glad I came and see that.
Yeah. That's definitely, he's been doing this a while, and, I'm pretty impressed with the company he's built and the cadre of instructors that he has and stuff. It's pretty good. Well, at this point in time in the podcast, we're going to go ahead and give you your gift, because everybody that comes on the podcast gets a gift. So here you go.
All right.
Thanks,
man. Listen, I love these shirts. That design, it makes the podcast, to be honest. That is an awesome design, and I'll represent it proudly.
I appreciate you. All those people up there in Nebraska are going to be like, where'd you get that from?
Hey, at least it doesn't have like Longhorns on it. So
yeah,
Nebraska.
I know.
It's not the Texas Longhorns. It's Texas Narcos.
That's it. Well, cool. Wear it with pride.
Thank you, buddy. It's 2025 is a big year for ACE, and the group of guys that are part of it, they all have something different to offer.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. So let's jump into your episode. So tell us about yourself. You told us on the last episode when we had everybody there that you're from Nebraska, right?
Yeah. I'll just start into it. So
okay.
I'm an investigator for the Nebraska State Patrol. I've been part of that agency for 13 years now. I have a beautiful wife and 3 kids, 3 daughters, and they keep me busy. But I also keep myself busy with all the different hobbies that I do. But like I said, as far as work life goes, I'm an investigator. I'm assigned to the criminal interdiction unit. For us, I've been in that position for 5 years now. I've ran a single purpose canine for the last 4 years. I love what I do. I love going to work. The group of guys that I work with make it that much more enjoyable. We're all on the same focus and all have the same mission mindset of finding drugs, putting bad people in jail.
Yeah, I guess when it all comes down to it, all of us are, that should be our goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Put bad guys in jail, get dope or whatever your operations are off the streets, and, come home and spend time with your family at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So, how long did you say that you've been doing this?
I've been doing interdiction work for 5 years now.
Okay.
And we primarily work parcel interdiction and mass transit, conducting consensual encounters. Not just mass transit, but also truck stops, rest areas, a little bit of interstate work, nothing crazy, kind of just dabbling in that now. It gets got a new set of LPRs on our truck, so we'll see where that takes us. Hotel, motel, parking lots.
Yeah.
It's really unconventional interdiction work. It's not just sitting in the median, finding the vehicle that drives by us. We're trying to be proactive, looking, searching, storage units, you name it. We're trying it, and we're pretty successful as a group.
And are you a plainclothes unit, or are y'all in uniforms, or how do y'all do that?
No, I'm plainclothes. We're not undercover. We're just in plain clothes, right? So when I'm at the bus, the Amtrak, the airport, I'm wearing a camera on my hat. It's not a secret that I'm law enforcement.
Right.
And sometimes I'll actually wear some sort of police markings.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at it as a marked unit in the median, looking for that reaction. We're doing the same thing, wearing police markings, looking for the reaction from the traveling public too.
So prior to getting into this unit, did you work the road as a trooper?
Yeah. For 6 years, I worked the road. I had 5 counties, worked nights. Was proactive. I love taking bad guys to deal, getting in pursuits, driving fast. I miss that portion of that job, but I'm in the best job the state patrol has. There's not a better spot, and I'm fortunate to have it.
So in Nebraska, so in Texas, our state troopers, they are predominantly a highway enforcement job. Like, they respond to accidents. They do traffic enforcement and stuff on the highway patrol. Is Nebraska one of the states where the state police or the state troopers actually respond to calls and stuff, like to assist the,
So we're considered a state police, state patrol. So in the more rural settings, they'll back up the SO, the PDs, and they'll actually be in law enforcement agency, if you will, for the rest of the rural Nebraska counties. You might have a county where there's only one deputy or one sheriff in that county. So we're really involved with those counties. When it's like a bigger metropolitan area, a lot of times our troopers are kind of mainly focused on that traffic enforcement. But we have an investigative services division, which I'm in, and that division is going to have criminal. It's going to have drug. That's where your liquor investigators are and stuff. And so we have canine, we have bombs, we have an air wing. So just an all around police agency.
Yeah, that's kind of how it is in Texas. As soon as you get off the highway patrol and you become what they call criminal investigation division, and they're called special agents at that point. But there's a human trafficking section, there's a drug section, there's an auto theft section, there's a, all sorts of stuff. Then, of course, you got the Texas Rangers that do specifically public corruption type stuff. And then they do all the officer involved shooting investigations for any place that doesn't have their own, like Austin, Dallas, someplace like that. But I just like to, it's interesting to hear all the different, how different agencies around the country do things differently on a state level,
Yeah.
So what are some of the biggest challenges that you face on a day-to-day operation, as far as doing the parcel stuff and the hotel motel stuff and the transit stuff? What's the biggest challenge that you face doing that kind of stuff?
I guess a challenge would be maybe manpower in the morning, because everything we do is early morning. So we're starting work at between 4 and 4:30 in the morning, and you have sort operations going on starting about 5. The bus, the train, that is all coming in just the way it happens in Omaha. Everything comes in early morning between 5 and 5:30 ish. So making sure that we have everything covered in those early morning operations is a challenge for us.
And y'all actually are out there working that early?
Yeah. So every day, our group, which consists of state and locals and federal agencies, we're all on the same mission mindset of what locating narcotics, right? So whether that's being at the bus, the train, or at parcel. So everybody starts that early, and everybody's on the same mindset, and we're pretty successful as a group.
Yeah, that's an early day. I know we usually don't get started that early.
Yeah, it's you know what, it is early, but it's really nice either being home at noon.
Oh wow.
Or you're on the big clock by noon. So
wow. Yeah, I guess there are some upsides to it. So before we get too deep into your job, do you want to talk a little bit about the class that you teach for ACE It?
Yeah. So I'm just starting a class called Intercept. It's going to focus on parcel interdiction and consensual encounters. Just that, if you live in a city and you're not working your SORT operation, you're missing a large amounts of dope coming into your communities. So I want to come in. I want to be able to show you what what is out there, what is being transported, what's being shipped through the mail every single day, and how to find it. So that's my goal for you as a student, to be able to find that. And then also with consensual encounters, people have fear of talking to people. So I want to get over that fear, show you how to talk to people, show the reactions that we are getting, the questions that we're asking, the case law that we are operating in, and the different venues on where that you could work those at, and the different reasonable suspicion that you gather during those contacts, and how you could get to the detainment level of a contact as fast as possible. Because the people during consensual encounter, everybody knows, is that they don't have to talk to you. It's not like I get a vehicle violation, somebody going down the highway, following too close, and you have them stopped, and they have to stay there until you're done with that initial investigation of the traffic infraction. For us, I'm just going up and talking to somebody, and if they don't want to talk to you,
they just walk away.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so there's some things that we could do, but that's on the back end. They're walking. There's nothing. There's nothing you could do about it.
Yeah, that's that's switching from a traditional highway interdiction type of operation. You pull them over and they want to walk away. That's not okay, right? Yeah. So I guess with yours, you got to really be in tune to the things that you're looking at and the key indicators and the stuff that you can use to build your reasonable suspicion to be able to hold on to them for a little while.
Yeah.
So that could be challenging, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So what makes this type of interdiction unique compared to the traditional style?
Well, I think we just touched on it a little bit there. Yeah. Is that they don't have to talk to you.
Yeah.
And they could leave at any time during the conversation if you don't have enough reasonable suspicion to be able to detain them and or their bags. So that's a very unique part of it. And there's two things that are hard. It's hard to just go talk to somebody.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, hey, I'm an investigator of the State Patrol. You're not in trouble, not in arrest. It's just making that initial contact is hard. So the more you do it, the better you get at it.
Yeah. So what type of public transportation systems are these people using? I mean, the traffickers and the smugglers and stuff, they using trains, planes, automobiles, all the above? Or
yeah, it's all the above. It's multiple modes of transportation is another factor when you're talking to during a consensual encounter. So, how did you get out to California? Did you fly out there? Did you drive? Oh, you flew out there. Okay. How come you didn't fly back and you're taking the bus back? That's kind of one of the, during that conversation, that might be something I bring up. So it's the multiple modes of transportation, whether it's the bus or the train or the airport. If you don't think that there's large amounts of dope going through the airport, well, you're wrong, because every day TSA is seeing it. They're just not doing anything about it.
Really?
I got buddies that have seized a large amount of narcotics. We're talking hundreds of pounds.
Yeah.
Being flown on commercial airlines.
Wow.
So,
do y'all work proactively in the airports, or do y'all just kind of respond?
We respond to the airport. Yeah. We're not as good as there's guys out there that kill the airport. They're way better than we'll ever be. I would love to go out there and learn from those guys. But the Omaha airport's a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's not a layover airport, right? Nobody's making a connecting flight in Omaha to go to Atlanta.
So it's a destination.
Yeah, it's a typical destination. There's not a lot of of connecting flights.
Yeah.
There, and and if they are connecting, the bags that are coming in are staying on that plane.
Okay.
They're not getting off on one plane and catching another plane to go out. So it's tough that you're not working those bags at the other bigger airport would work. So it's mainly, if we're at the airport trying to be proactive, it's working the bags that are coming into the airport, or we're getting phone calls from the either the airport police or the staff because they found something that is in our interest.
Yeah. So what about the buses? What would be your most common origin point that you see that the buses where you see the majority of the dope coming? Obviously California, or is it coming coming east into Nebraska, or is it coming up from Texas, or what's your most common?
Yeah, so obviously it's west to east. So Omaha's right on I-80. I-80 is a pretty large corridor for narcotics going across the country. So the buses that we work, they start in Denver, but there's people that start in California, make their way to Denver, then they switch to this bus, they get on that bus, and then now they're making their way across Nebraska and Iowa.
Yeah. Have you had any cases where Uber drivers were involved in?
If they're involved, they're just in the initial pickup. So say that we have a local case and somebody ordered up an Uber driver. They're just coming to pick them up. And so we've had that. Or say we make contact with somebody and they either don't want to talk to us, say they don't want to talk to us and they walk off. They might call an Uber to get out of the area. So we've seen that before. Mainly, like, we don't see Uber drivers like going long distances. If they're staying local, they'll call one. Yeah.
The only reason what about the trains? Is Amtrak? I guess Amtrak comes through y'all's area.
Yep. Yeah, we have a great relationship with Amtrak. The work that we've done, the work that I do, they've been doing it for approximately 31 years in Omaha. So the relationship that we have, the success that we have, really goes back to those guys that laid that foundation down. And one of those is being with a partnership with Amtrak and having that relationship and building a good foundation that they have trust in us, we have trust in them. And when you are working at the bus or any parcel company or at the Amtrak or the airport, like you are a guest at those facilities. They don't have to. You don't have to be there. They don't have to allow you there. So you have to take that in account of what you're doing and represent not only the agency you work with, but you're also representing the people that are allowing you to stay there and work that, such as Amtrak or the bus or parcels.
So in Omaha, does the Amtrak run east and west or north and south there?
East and west.
Okay, so everything's east and west. So y'all don't really have anything that comes up north and south.
There is a bus line that goes north and south. That stops at the terminal that we work.
What role would you say does the behavioral observations that you see with these passengers? It's kind of a two-part thing. So obviously the people that are involved in smuggling on public transit, their goal is going to be to blend in with the normal public, right? What type of role does the behavior cues that you're looking for and the slight, differences to pick out who may be involved in something criminal? How big of a part is that in what y'all do?
It's almost number one. Just like I always revert back to, just because people could relate to it, the guys that are working interdiction on the interstate and they're parked in the median, they're looking for that reaction. Kind of the same thing is for us, right? We're looking for that reaction, whether somebody's in police markings or whether I just look like a cop, right? I can't shut it off. This is what I look like. I look like a cop, and people could, if you're looking for a cop, you're going to see me. And so it's that reaction, though, that they have to me. Or they want to, there's a multitude of different things that we see. And the stress-induced behavior of just seeing us plays a critical role in how we make contact.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I can imagine, on the interdiction stuff, they talk about the pre-stop behaviors and all that stuff that you look for on the vehicles and stuff. It's the same thing, but just on a pedestrian, basically. Yeah. That's cool. How is the rise of e-commerce in our general society? Anything that you want, you can get on the internet and have it there in 2 days. As compared to 10 years ago, let's say, it wasn't quite as prevalent as it is now. So how would you say that the increase in e-commerce has contributed and increased the amount of drugs that's also being transported across the country, in parcels and packages?
So just to put it in perspective, March of last year, March of 2024, there was a company that was shut down that was operating through or using a large parcel company. And that drug trafficking organization was shipping out 500 packages and boxes of narcotics a day.
Wow.
So just put that in perspective. 500 boxes a day.
Yeah.
Using one parcel company.
That's crazy.
That account is no longer usable. It's no longer being used. But don't think that they just stopped sending that amount through parcels.
Yeah.
They just picked it right back up with a different account or a different parcel company.
Yeah.
So just to put it in perspective of how many packages of dope being shipped out from one source state.
Wow.
All the way across the United States. It didn't matter where it was going. It was hitting every state in the nation.
So is the majority of the packages that y'all see, are they domestic origin? So I guess what I'm getting at is the dope's got to make it across the border.
Yeah.
And then it's got to be packaged domestically and then put in packages and put out? Or do you see stuff coming directly, like already in packages from across the border? Or is there a company that you can like put a kilo in a box in Mexico and put an address in New York on it and, hope it makes it there?
Does that happen? Yeah. Yeah, it does. But it's mainly for domestic already. It's being shipped from source states.
I got you.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess they figured that, all the people are out there on the highways trying to hit stuff and, they got to try to come up with innovative ways to try to get,
And why not ship it though? Why not ship it? Because it's trackable. They could. There's a reason why they're doing it. It's trackable. They could get it the next day if they wanted to.
Yeah.
They could change the destination if they wanted to. They could send it back. They could go, you know what? Actually, send that package back. Maybe they got hanked up. And so the risk factor for somebody shipping and receiving narcotics is just lower than putting it in a car.
It's probably cheaper too because you don't have to pay a mule's gonna he's gonna get paid X amount per kilo, right? And you can put it in a box and let the carrier take care of it.
You're not risking getting stopped by Jeremy Benefield or Bauer Brown or Al Clark.
Yeah, right. But you got to worry about your package getting intercepted by you. Right? So, what role has technology played in not only your ability to discover and interdict these packages, but also on the other guys, on the bad guys side, to be able to make this all happen? Like specifically, I mean, without going into particulars on the tactics and methods that you use, but having technology to help us try to determine which packages are, good.
So majority of the stuff that we find is all cold, meaning that if you're not standing at the belt, watching the boxes, you're going to miss it.
Okay.
So you have to be on the line. You have to be watching it because you're going to miss it. Now, there is different computer programs that other parcel companies use to try to find it, and they say that's how they narrow it down. And it does work. But to be physically hunting packages every day is the most aggressive way you could find parcels being shipped through narcotics.
So basically, you actually have to be there on the line, and as it comes by, you take a look at it, and you're looking for indicators on the slips and on the packages that would try to lead you to believe that package is of interest. This isn't stuff that like there's a machine or a scanner that like an alarm goes off and they call you over there to take a look at the package. This is something that you're actually having to like hunt for.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Every day once you do it for a long enough, it doesn't take very long to do it because if you're going there every day, you're seeing thousands of packages go by. Just like guys on the interstate, you're establishing what is normal, what is not normal.
Right.
So when you see that one that's not normal, then we pick that up and start doing a little some investigation work on it to determine whether how we're going to move forward with this package.
And so, after you identify a package that has drugs or contraband, whatever in it, do you guys carry on the investigation after that point?
Yeah.
As far as if you're going to do like a controlled delivery, or you're going to do an investigation as to the person that was going to receive it all the way, and then going back the other way to the person who sent it?
Yeah.
Or do y'all have to coordinate with other agencies, and like how does that work?
So for us, we will, depending on what the contraband in the package was, we will further the investigation. Now, that's locally. That's how. Say, if you're an investigator, or even if you're if you're also a patrol cop, and you're looking for more activity, you're looking for another case lead. Things are slow. Your sources, your CIs have dried up, or maybe you put them in jail. Working parcels is an excellent way to be able to strum up your next case. So you have to be, watching that. It's going to help you identify addresses. It's going to help you identify potential suspects. So that is a great way of going about doing that for work also.
What kind of policies or procedures, in your opinion, do you think that could be implemented to help curb this problem? Whether it be on a local level, on a national level, or as far as like the regulations and stuff that the parcels that what's your take on that?
Yeah. Well, we have a great relationship with the parcel companies that we work with now.
Yeah.
There is one in particular that has really done a proactive approach to it. And we are really not seizing that much from that company,
right?
Because internally they're taking a really proactive approach. They know what to look for. They know the different count information. They know the source dates and what to. So like taking a really proactive approach, just in the private sector, would curb a lot of this.
Yeah. What would you say is the most rewarding aspect of what you do?
The dope that we're seizing, ultimately are saving lives in our communities.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. We seize numerous fentanyl pills throughout the last couple of years, and without a doubt, those seizures have saved lives by far. So those are the good ones. Those are the ones when you're popping and there are 26,000 fentanyl pills in a box. That somebody didn't start fentanyl. Somebody didn't die from fentanyl. Somebody didn't get the notification that their son or daughter had passed away.
Yeah.
Just because you were there watching, sitting on the belt, making that seizure.
That's awesome. Is there any particular case or deal that just sticks out in your mind that you think that the viewers would enjoy hearing about?
Yeah, I have one in particular. I think. So this is a consensual encounter at a bus station. Made contact with an individual, and his route of travel didn't make sense. His route of travel was it was westbound from Chicago into Omaha. Said it was at an Airbnb for a couple hours in Omaha. Then he indicated that he was heading to Minnesota after stopping at the Airbnb. I got him where he was getting on the bus in Omaha heading to Minnesota. And he gave me a terrible story.
Yeah.
It was a sob story. It was about a funeral and a friend, and but it didn't make sense. His route travel did not make sense. His stay at the Airbnb didn't make sense. Ultimately got consent to search his bags, and as we're opening up the bags, he takes off running. We get in a foot pursuit. It lasted about a block and a half.
Yeah.
There was 58 pounds of meth.
Wow.
In the suitcase that he was smuggling.
Wow.
We took him back to the office. We conducted an interview. During that interview, he could not recall the Airbnb address that he just came from, even though he showed it to me on his phone. He was acting like he couldn't find it on his phone. So we drafted a cell phone search warrant, and we were able to tie him to that Airbnb.
Okay.
We drafted a search warrant on the Airbnb, and we got 10 kilos of coke and about 70 grand.
Nice.
So just by talking to somebody, just by saying, "Hey, I'm an investigator with the State Patrol. You're not in trouble, not under arrest," it led us to 58 pounds of meth, 10 kilos of coke, and about $70,000. There was also another individual in that Airbnb. So,
Wow.
what we learned from there is that organization, they basically had an HR department who would do all their bookings of Airbnb. So that's how they would handle that. So if the listeners have any Airbnbs or other investigations, like, don't count those homes out. So what they would do is that so that DTO would find an Airbnb, and one smuggler would drop the dope off into it. They would contact the other one, say, "Hey, this is the address, this is the passcode. You're going to pick it up and head." So they're not crossing paths. They're not.
So it's like a dead drop.
Yeah, just using nice Airbnb.
Wow.
So this particular DTO, they had, I think it was like 300 to 400 Airbnb rentals in a year.
Wow.
So all across the United States.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
We had a situation that was kind of like that, but it wasn't drugs. It was with they were stealing people's identities. They were out of Florida or something, and they had an Airbnb that they were using. The particular person was using, and basically they were scamming people out of their money. They would call and say, "Hey, you need to send $25,000 to this address. Otherwise this is going to happen to you." Scamming the older people, and the address that they were having the money sent to was like it was a Dollar General where they received packages, right? And so that's how we got tipped on to it. And we went there and we posted up. We watched the person go in, come out with the package, and then we stopped her, talked to her, conducted our investigation. It ended up leading us to an Airbnb like 2 hours away. We went there, executed a search warrant, and we discovered a ton of personal identifying information. I mean, like notebooks full of people's socials and their, just everything you could think of. So I think we turned that over to FBI out of Florida because they already had a case on this person. But yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it makes sense. It's basically the same thing as using a rental car,
right?
I mean, you
look up the utilities, who's it on?
Yeah,
not them. If you look at the assessor page, if you look up, you name it, the vehicles in the driveway, what are they going to be?
Right.
Probably a rental. Maybe they won't even have a vehicle.
Yeah.
Maybe they showed up on the bus or the train.
And the neighbors aren't concerned about there being the new people there all the time.
Yeah.
Because there's always new people there.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Is there anything else that you think that the people out there ought to know about you and your job and what you do and your class?
I think we covered a lot of it. Just know that I'm excited to come out and teach with ACE. I appreciate the opportunity, and I look forward to the future. If you want more information on the class, go to aceit.com and look up Intercept in the classes. We're booked from February to August, anywhere from we have Tennessee coming up in June. February we'll be in Birmingham, Alabama. So just look it up, anywhere from Alabama to California to Tennessee and in between Texas.
Yeah.
So I look forward to filling up the rest of 2025. If you have any questions or want to host a class, let's do it.
Cool. Yeah. I'll put a link to all that stuff in the description below on this video if you guys want to check it out. And well, cool, man. I appreciate you coming out here. I know it's been a long day. We've had class all day, and so I appreciate it. So until next time, guys, we'll see y'all down the road on Texas Narcos. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Texas Narcos Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Remember to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, share our podcast with your friends and family. You can find Texas Narcos Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. Your continued support helps us to bring you stories like the one you just heard. Thank you, God bless, and we'll see you down the road on Texas Narcos.